Welcome to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here with John Merrill. John, good to see
Ken.
you this week.
Yes, sir. Always.
Always getting me this. No cold weather. It ain't really bad today, but I don't know where people are watching. But we've had some up and down, and I'll tell you some cold weather. I had to leave my water running a few times. I don't like doing that, but I did. Let's talk about some. Since you left the Secretary of State job, you work for Wagner.
Yes, sir.
Engineering. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Wagner Engineering.
I was thinking the other day about these cities out here. All of them in competition. They don't advertise per se, but they are in competition for that company that's moving here.
Sure.
And we don't know where they are. Whether they're in Sweden, Australia, or up north. A lot of people up north are moving south.
That's right.
And Sean Hannity finally left New York and moved to Florida. You know that?
Yes, sir.
He's been threatening to do it for a long time. But there's a lot of companies out there in Wisconsin and places like that that are relocating every day probably. And these city council members, most of them are just people off of the street. They don't have any engineering skills. So when I was thinking I was running for city council one time, and one of the things I would have done after I know what you're doing is I would have relied on an engineering firm to help guide me through some of the things that I need to do to increase my visibility and things for my city, to make me out front. If somebody wanted to come here,
absolutely.
why?
Well, it's so important to be able to do that and to do it effectively. And that's why the city of Anniston, the city of Oxford, Calhoun County, Jacksonville, Alexandria, White Plains, Piedmont, all the county areas, municipalities that are in this county and in the surrounding counties where our viewership is, most of those entities will rely on a professional consulting engineering firm to be helpful to them for infrastructure projects, roads and bridges, water and sewer, park design and development, long-range planning, the expansion of gas lines or power lines, to make sure that you're providing the kind of support that's necessary to improve the overall quality of life for your people, but also to make sure that when economic development opportunities are presenting themselves to your community, that you are properly and securely prepared to meet the needs that those individuals have when they're getting ready to relocate or to expand. And in order to do that, you need professional individuals who have an understanding of what those requirements are, what it will take to get the work done, and how you'll be able to move forward. And of course, our firm is one of the top firms in the southeastern United States as a partner of Trilling Engineering, which is a multinational firm that's in more than 20 states and 2 foreign countries. We are properly prepared to help all 67 of Alabama's counties, all 464 of our municipalities. But there are a number of quality firms throughout the state of Alabama who are also prepared to do that kind of work. So one of the main things is making sure you have a high level of comfort to be able to work with those entities as you try to move forward to help your community.
Not only do you need people knowledgeable about what they want to do for their city, but they need to know how to sell their city. And I'm going to try to share something with you without sharing. I got to be very careful how I do it. But I was sitting here one day with the mayor of a city nearby, down the road. You passed it this morning. And during the break, he told me how he had just landed a huge corporation, that they had just been here in a town close to where we are today, and met with some of the city councilmen and the mayor. And this was something, the stores were something we had been trying to get. I said, all the people in this area from
Sure.
Piedmont, Gadsden, Anniston, Oxford, everybody had wanted these people. Well, they just popped in here, 2 people. Just come down Interstate 20, popped in here and went into a city. And they talked to some city councilmen who kind of gave them some bad vibes, give bad answers. A lot of it had to do over a racial mix and that kind of thing. So they went down, it's all in one day now. They got back in their rental cars that rented cars coming out of Atlanta, drove down here, and then they rode down to Pell City. Went in there and asked the mayor, "You got time to talk to us?" Asked the secretary. So she went in and talked to the mayor. The mayor said, "Yeah, come on." They got in the van. They drove around and looked at 4 pieces of property. On the third piece of property, they said, "This is what we want." They built in Pell City. This is a multi-million-dollar corporation because somebody in another city didn't handle the business properly. This is what is not only about the technical engineering problem, but how to sell your city to the what are they looking for? And it's personnel. Do they have personnel? Do they have skilled personnel? Do they have, what do they have? What is skill? What skills do they have? Do they have people
Sure.
that have been taught in school how to do carpentry skills, how to do whatever, that kind of thing. But people can use a lot of that's the thing. Man, I would have hired Wagner in a heartbeat if I was a city councilman, to say, what do we want to do in Oxford? And Mayor, if you're listening, I say, get him on the phone, tell him what you want to do, because I know Oxford is moving forward.
Oh, they are.
But let's don't misstep.
That's right.
Let's don't step the wrong way. Let's make sure we got it right.
Well,
you got anything you want to add to that?
Well, no, it's just very important to make sure that when you're making those choices, that you're making a choice based on commitment, trustworthiness, integrity, making sure that you can rely on those people to provide what they've said they would provide in a timely fashion. And that's the thing that attracts a entity like a municipality or a county to a particular firm. And then you have to hold them by producing the product. Speaking of producing the product, we hope that you're pleased with the product that we're producing here at Brainstorming America, and we hope you'll stay with us for the next segment of this show.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins here with John Merrill. John, we talked about the Houthis, and the folks out there, I get they wonder why we keep talking about them, why I keep talking about them. And I bring
and define one more time for the viewers what it is that you're talking about and the group of people and who they represent and why that's important today.
They're a ragtag bunch of terrorists that out of Yemen, different parts of Africa, and they are what they call they work for Iran. They're proxies of Iran. It's not Iran, but it's Iran funding them. They don't have anything but sticks and mud and rocks, but they got some of the finest missiles that they're firing at our shipping lanes. And the reason I'm talking to you about it, because it affects what we get at the stores, how we get our goods that come through the Red Sea are being held up. They're holding them hostage. They're holding these ships and they're bombing the ships. So, but that the Houthis are bombing the bases in Iraq where we got military. We got United States military at several locations in Iraq. Well, they're bombing those locations and those locations only. And so far, we haven't lost any got killed, but we've had several with traumatic brain injury and that kind of thing. So that's happening while Secretary Austin was in bed, away from his job. And we got a lot of things happening that scares me as an American citizen, that we don't have somebody with a hand on the wheel with all these firing going on. And where did these Iran get this money to do all this stuff? Off of their oil, for one thing. But the other part is the donations that we give them. We gave them $60 billion twice. And saying it's going to, it's not going directly to you, and you can't get it unless you're going to use it for medical purposes and that kind of thing. Well, they just pulled out $15 billion the other day. And when the spokesperson for the State Department was asked, did they know where that money went? We're looking into it. Well, that's what's got us in trouble. We thought we had a rein on Iran, and John, I'm going to tell you today, I'm sitting here, I'm telling you, and I'm telling America, they are 3 days from having a nuclear weapon. 3 days. That's from some generals that know exactly what's going on over there. And I think Israel's on top of it, but they are that close. And when Iran gets a nuclear weapon, it's all over. Saudi Arabia, all of those countries are in for it because they blow them away. And I sit back years ago and heard Bill Clinton say, North Korea will never get a nuclear plant. North Korea will never get a nuclear plant. Guess what? North Korea's got a nuclear plant. We don't have a way to stop Iran, with the exception of bombing their plants. But we can't stop them by destroying their oil companies, their oil shipping, and because that's where their funds come from. And if they don't have any funds, they can't build on anymore. So we're going to have to do something that I'm hoping that we can get a president in there that's got a backbone and not afraid to take on. When they did that before, Trump blowed up their number one guy, took him out with a drone. And so we got to do something. I'm worried about it. The reason I keep talking about it is the proxies that they also fund Hezbollah, which is over in Lebanon. That's got Israel on the north end of Israel, attacking them. And they're just a terrorist organization. The Houthis and the Hezbollah are all proxies of Iran, and we got problems. So people need to pay attention, and they need to vote for people that will protect us. And right now, we are so vulnerable that from our southern border to this, I don't know how we're going to make it till election time if we get somebody else in there. What do you think?
Well, I think that we've got a person that's waiting to come in and start straightening some of these things out. And that person is an individual who oftentimes has offended people with his tweets. He offends people with his language. He offends people with his bullish activities. But one of the things that you always know is that he has America's best interest in mind and at heart. And he will continue to straighten out the path that our nation needs to be on so we can be viewed as the number one strongest nation in the world, because he has made America first, and that's Donald J. Trump, and that's what we need, and that's what I think the majority of the people in this country want.
You've been to Mar-a-Lago a bunch of times.
Yes, sir.
Way more than I have. See, I've been there a total of, not any yet, but the night that Donald Trump was sitting here and President Xi of China was sitting here, Trump excused himself during the dessert, walked away, took a phone call, came back and told the president he had blown away Syria. He had attacked. We had what was that group of people we had that was attacking so bad, that was cutting people's heads off? In the
Hezbollah.
No, another one similar to that.
Yes, sir.
But Trump ran them out. They was, oh God, I can't think of what they were. But they were a group of people, terrorists, that were killing people, all in Iraq. They had went sweeping through Iraq, killing everybody.
Yes, sir. But we don't want you leaving and looking to see who's killing whom.
We'll
join you again right after this break as we start the final segment of this week's episode of Brainstorming America.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. Ken Rollins. Appreciate you here staying with us. Here with John Merrill. And John, I sound like I just got bad news, but I saw something, and I know you did too, probably, on the NBC, was covering a football game. Young football player named Stroud. When he got through, a girl asked him on the field, a reporter, how he felt about big game, how he felt about his actions. He started off by, I was able to do it through the help from my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And but being here in a town like this, they cut it to where, what did you think about the thing? But he started by being here in a town like this. They cut out all the mention of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Did you see that, MJ? Okay, I'm talking to control room folks because he saw it also. And it was, there's no way they could say it wasn't edited.
Oh, it was
They
edited.
just took it out. You saw it.
Oh,
then.
yeah, and I think the nation has seen it, and I think the nation has expressed their disconcern attitude about what has happened, because that is an example of the mainstream media taking what was shared and making it be what they wanted it to be as opposed to what it actually was. C.J. Stroud is an outstanding young athlete. He was a great student athlete at Ohio State University. He's done a tremendous job with the Houston Texans in leading them and being their quarterback. Will probably be the Rookie of the Year this year, and was talking about their win in their first playoff game, the opportunity that they had to move forward, and then was interrupted by the person that edited that particular video to share what that person thought was important for the viewers and the listeners to see. Fortunately, it had been captured in another way, and that's the thing that's now making it around through all the social media platforms.
He got more positive out of it by their trick. So many people have got upset about it that I would never expect some liberal stations have taken it on. So I think it kind of backfired on NBC that they'd do that. But the thing was, they said somebody was explaining why they did it for NBC. He is well known to talk about his faith. So we were prepared for him to, so they were ready when they interviewed him. Be careful now, don't let him talk about God. Man, I'm telling you, it's like we don't want to offend anybody by talking about God. And that's the part that bothers me. It's just that a television station, a powerful, one of the mainstream televisions, would tell their reporters, be careful, don't let him get away with talking about Jesus Christ. And so that's the thing that bothers me. That was understood.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
It was premeditated
That's the word.
on behalf of the people who were producing the show to know what was coming and then to make sure that they did not properly record and report that.
Yeah, I was looking at that word premeditated. I used that when I told somebody that I was being arrested. They had me for murder, said I'd been killing time, and it was premeditated. So
No doubt.
I'd planned it. So that's where that word came and made me think about that. But I hope that does keep on resonating with the other stations to see how a lot of people got upset about that, because it's not even if it was a possibility it was a mistake or something like this. Was just cut and dried, absolutely edited out. So, because they did a side by side, and you can see it.
Yes, sir.
Who's going to be Trump's vice president? I got you that now.
That's a question that a lot of people are very interested in, and it's really going to be an important decision that President Trump is going to have to make. And
he's listened to us, you know that.
Well, he does frequently. And one of the things that I know a lot of people are interested in is he going to choose a woman? Is he going to choose a black? Is he going to choose just a white guy like we've always had? And I don't know. I think what he's going to do is he's going to choose the person that he feels best complements him at this particular time in his campaign to make him be the most attractive as a candidate to the most people throughout the United States. And I think Senator Tim Scott, who is an African American United States Senator from South Carolina, would be an excellent choice. He was somebody that has distinguished himself in the United States Congress and distinguished himself in the United States Senate. I think he'd be a great choice. I think Governor Kristi Noem from South Dakota is another outstanding choice. She recently came to Alabama and spoke back in 2022 to the Alabama Republican Party. She would be very attractive, very articulate, She is just the kind of person that you'd want in a leadership position. And then I think there's some other folks that are going to receive some consideration too, that are people that have bounced around from time to time. But I think President Trump will choose wisely, as he normally has in his appointment process.
I'm thinking between Lisa Stefanik or whatever from New York.
Yes, New York.
Her, and you took Christie on.
Yes, sir.
That's one I thought. And I think for Christie, because she's articulate, but she's also believable.
Yes, sir.
She's not, see, Nikki Haley talking about what a fighter I am and how raspy I am. I'm this and I'm a fighter, and I don't think that, I'm not looking for a president that's a fighter per se. I look at a person who can put the fighters out there in the places they need to be to fight. But I'm not looking necessarily for a fighter like that. But there's a lot of people he's got to choose. And I think as being the president of the Democratic Party, you've got so many more choices. Like you're sitting here, you wouldn't have any problem sitting down with Trump and saying you can name this, and you give them 5 or 6 right now that could take the mantle and go with it. And I don't think the Democrats got that. Look what they got. You looking at me funny.
Oh my goodness, that's not a good thing for the nation. I can assure you of that.
Was that funny?
But I tell you what a good thing for the nation is, and that's to have an opportunity to join y'all each and every week and talk about issues that are so very important to our nation and to our state. Ken and I really appreciate the time that you spend with us each and every week. We hope that you'll join us again next week as we bring you another exciting episode of Brainstorming America. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.